Hey everyone, I am so excited to be with Mavis Karn today. Mavis, thank you so much for taking the time to spend with me and have this conversation. And for those of you who are not familiar with Mavis, I'd love if you just share a little bit about yourself to get started.
Okay, what would you like to know?
Well, I'd like to know a little bit about your background, and people may not be familiar with the three principles, but I'd love to know like your background, what led you to discovering the three principles, and for people that don't know what the three principles are, if you'd share what those are.
Okay, so let's see. I have been in the business of counseling or therapy or um, for around 50 years. So I'm kind of starting to get the hang of it. And I started out in the traditional way of learning, trying to figure out how to fix broken people. People that were unhappy in some way or other. Frightened all the time or sad all the time or angry all the time or using drugs or whatever. And I studied how to help them. And mostly what that involved is me seeing them as flawed and that I was supposed to unflaw them, help them enjoy life, help them be happy.
Yeah.
Um, I loved my work, but it was exhausting. And after I'd been at it for several years, I was at a place called the Bridge for Runaway Youth here in Minneapolis. And I loved it there. I loved working with kids. And but it was exhausting.
Mhm.
And the agency itself was kind of like a um, psychological emergency room. It was just there was kind of high um, urgent energy all the
Mm.
time, which is understandable. The kids are running away from home and their parents are wondering where they are and all of that. So, um, and I had at the same time 3 kids. I was a single mom with 3 kids. So working full time with 3 kids, um, I think I just kind of gave up sleep for a few years. It was just,
I
something
can
had to go.
imagine.
And I
Yeah.
wasn't going to throw my kids away or quit working. So just no sleep. Um, and right about the time I was feeling just kind of, I don't know, exhausted, I started thinking I got to do something that's less hard on me.
Hmm.
And I couldn't think of what that might be, but that's as far as I'd gotten with it. And my boss, at the time had been invited to go to the University of Minnesota graduate school in psychology to hear 3 PhD psychologists from Florida who had been spending some time with a man named Sid Banks. And he couldn't go and he wanted to know if I would go in his stead. And the only reason I said yes is it meant 2 days off work. Great, I'll go hear a dog bark for 2 days. I don't care. So I went, and probably within 15 minutes or so, one of them, Dr. Roger Mills, said something to the effect that all human experience originates with the individual's thinking. And that was just one sentence mixed up in a bunch of other sentences.
Yeah.
And I heard that, and I thought the top of my head was going to come off because I just felt it. I felt the truth of it
Mhm.
all over. And I don't think I heard anything for quite a long time after that. I just was sitting with that and going, that's true. But I didn't know how to explain it to myself or anybody else. And I'm sure Roger was busy explaining it to people, and I was just sitting there stunned. But
Yeah.
the and I went home that first day. I went home and my daughter was there. She was a teenager at the time. And I said, Wendy, I have just heard the best thing I have ever heard in my life. And she said, what? Like, wouldn't you want to go, what?
Yeah.
And I said, oh, well, it was about thought. And she looked at me like, was there a little more to say about? And I couldn't explain it. And that was my first experience with knowing something was absolutely true, but I had no idea how to explain it, but I understood it. And that was a wonderful thing to learn, that you can understand something and not have a clue how to explain it, but that the understanding is the point. So I then spent the next several months, probably years, I don't know, but several months at least, trying to disprove it,
Mm,
just in my head. Like, wait a minute, I'm a single mom. I'm working full time. I hardly ever have enough money. That's not my thinking. But then I would play devil's advocate and say, well, does every single mom with three kids that doesn't have enough money feel about it the same way all the time? And I couldn't, even if I hadn't been to that conference, I couldn't say yes to that
mhm,
because everybody thinks different. So then I think, okay, all right, I get it about that. It's my thinking. I'm not so sure about it, but I guess it's my thinking. So then I would say, well, what about when somebody close to you dies? That's not your thinking. And I knew that because my first baby died.
mm,
And you could not tell me that the way I felt about that was just my thinking.
mhm,
Nah, that's I probably would have punched somebody that would have said that, right? But then, devil's advocate again. I said, well, does everybody that happens to feel about it the same way for the same length of time and in the same way? And I knew it wasn't true because I had talked to several parents who had lost a child,
mhm,
and some of them had been grieving and depressed for years, and some of them were not that way at all. They were occasionally they'd get sad about it or whatever, and anything in between. So I knew that even that circumstance, that situation, did not decide for anyone how they felt,
mhm,
that it was the meaning we were making of it, the thinking we were doing about it, that the outside does not determine the experience. It's our thinking about the outside that just determines our experience. And that's good news. And that nobody ever, ever, ever has the same experience as anybody else.
mm,
Similar, maybe, in intensity or similarly in length of time or whatever, but nobody is ever experiencing the same reality
mm,
ever. And that was an eye opener. Because I don't know why on earth I thought everybody was experiencing the same thing the same way all the time. Now I think about, well, how could that be? But then I just assumed everybody was.
You're not alone in that. I
No.
experienced that too in the past.
Yeah. So, uh, once you hear the truth about something, you can't unhear it.
Mhm.
So it was clumsy at first, but the first order of business that weekend was I knew that I could not keep working with people in the same way, trying to figure out what was wrong with them and who did what to who and how many times and when and all of that and what was their diagnosis and what should we do about the diagnosis. And I knew that I couldn't do that anymore.
Mhm.
I just didn't know what else to do because I didn't know how to explain what I just learned. So all I knew is that I had to go back on Monday morning, and I had made a informally kind of made a list of uh, people who I really liked and respected that worked in the usual way. And so each family I saw, I was a family therapist there. So I helped families kind of reunite and have a kind of a plan to make things better. So I had this list and I walked into each family, probably, I don't know, four or five families every day, and said I had learned something over the weekend and that I know this is going to sound crazy, but I, I just can't work with you in the same way I've been working with you. And but I have this list of people and they're really good people. And and if you just pick one of them when you have a chance, I will call them and introduce you and all of that. And nobody took me up on it. I I thought they were all mentally ill. I mean, if somebody said that to me, I go, "Whoa, what kind of person is this?" But they didn't take me up on it, and they wanted to know what it was that had happened to me that I had learned. Of course, I didn't know how to explain it. So I said, I wish I could tell you. It's I'm going to have to keep studying it, but it's about our thinking and how we're creating our own experience all the time. And that's about as far as I got. But still, nobody took me up on it. They wanted to keep their regular schedule with me. Oh, God. So one of the moms called me that week after I'd seen them, and she said, "Is anybody taking you up on that offer?" And I said, "No, not yet. And I think you're all crazy." And she said, "Well, I thought maybe you might want to know why our family isn't taking you up on it." And I said, "I certainly would." And she said, "We were talking about it on the way home, and we could see something big had happened to you. We could feel it,
Mhm.
and we wanted that." And I remember thinking, I looked in the mirror this morning. I didn't see anything. I didn't see anything big, lights going on or anything, but I know what she means now. I can tell like with my own clients when I explain how we're made. I explain why no matter how long they can prove it, there's nothing wrong with them. There never was, there's never going to be, and there isn't now. And that's just the truth, whether they believe me or not.
Yeah.
And when they start entertaining that, I can see something happens. It's not magic. It's waking up.
Mhm.
And it might just as well be that a light switch goes on and the brightest lamp you ever saw just lit up the room. It's That's not magic. It's people entertaining the idea that all the things they thought they were, all the things that are wrong with them, all the diagnoses they've had, that has nothing to do with who they are.
Mhm.
And it's not like they believe it immediately, but they can't have unheard it.
Yeah.
And they're having the same experience I had. Excuse me, that they heard the truth. Now it's to varying degrees.
Mm.
Some people go, okay, run that by me again. What did you say? It might be that. Well,
Mhm.
what about this? And what about this? And, excuse me, I'm hoping I'm not blowing people's ears off here.
No, you're good. Yeah, that's beautiful. Though when people do awaken to that.
Yeah, and kids, I had no trouble understand. I would give groups to kids too and teach them this. The kids that had run away, they just, I'm sure there were some that didn't, but way more than not, they they got it. They just because it's the truth of how we're made is so simple. It's nothing but just divine common sense. And kids don't have such a death grip on their habits of thinking. And if they like you and you got a good thing going with them, they really listen
Yeah.
and they hear the truth. And sometimes, in fact, a lot of times actually, in from then on in meetings with the family, the kids were better at explaining it than I was. They'd, they'd help me get their parents to understand it. I'm telling you, family therapy never was so much fun. It doesn't mean that we weren't talking about hard things,
Mm,
but we weren't talking about hard things in a hard way.
right.
We were talking about, all the things that have been going on in your family that was so hard. You were doing the best you knew to do, given what you thought was possible. And
Mhm.
what I'm telling you will will get rid of a lot of that. Because when you all know more, you all will do better. All of you.
Right.
It's not it's not me, it's the information. Now, when you walk your talk, it helps them see, oh, yeah, she's happy, she's having a good time. She's she looks different, which I still didn't know, but the point is, I went from really in a split second, I went from seeing a bunch of people that needed a lot of help and were broken to never seeing anybody that had anything wrong with them.
Mhm. It's a
So
beautiful shift.
in 45 years, I've never seen anybody that had anything wrong with them.
Yeah.
And that's not that I won some sort of lottery and
Mhm.
I only get people that have nothing wrong with them. No, there aren't any people that have anything wrong with them. They either know how beautifully they're made, so they understand that. And they understand when their thinking is coming from a bad habit versus when their thinking is coming from that innate health, that inborn wisdom and common sense and creativity and compassion and kindness. It's you learn how to trust your thinking. And there is nothing that's going to turn your life around faster than that.
Right. Trust it or not trust, I suppose, sometimes, right?
Well, you can feel it.
Hmm.
It's not that you have to examine what you were thinking and why you were thinking it. You can feel it. using your thinking in a negative way feels negative.
Yeah.
It feels scary. It feels angry. It feels hopeless. It feels jealous. It feels resentful. It feels judgmental.
Hmm.
All of those feelings are your thinking. And those feelings are telling you this is how it feels to think this way. Nothing could be simpler than that. So every emotion that we have is a thought, and that emotion has your back. It's letting you know, guiding you away from misusing the gift of thought and back to using it from your natural self.
Yeah, it's pretty amazing how we're designed. I think in the past, I never really, prior to having uncovered this awareness for myself, I didn't always put that connection together, that our thoughts are creating our feelings. So, I just, emotions would come and I didn't realize it's my own thinking about it. I would think it's the circumstances I'm in that are causing this.
Uh, yeah,
So it's really empowering, I think, to see that.
yeah.
Yeah.
It's the difference between knowing how to drive a car and not knowing.
Hmm.
You don't know how to drive a car and you try, it's not going to turn out well. If you don't know how your mind works, it's not going to turn out well.
Yeah. Yeah.
But it's not because there's something wrong with you. It's because there's something you don't know yet.
Hmm. Yeah. I'm curious. I have this thought. I mean, I don't know if there's any, if it's truth or not, but this idea, I mean, I look at my son who's 3 right now at this time, and he, to me is just a beautiful example of all of this. And I feel like maybe we start out, as babies with all this awareness. I mean, we already, know this, it's already built in us. But then as we get older, because you were mentioning how kids seem to take this or, understand this quicker maybe than adults, that we start covering this up with our thinking and with what maybe we've been told by society and told with those or from those around us innocently, just, not aware. Um, so I don't know, that's something that I've thought.
People are, like I had, my mom has been gone for a long time, but, uh, and I just loved her. But she was an Olympic champ worrier. I mean, if they give medals out for worrying, she'd have a house full of gold. And she worried for what she thought was a really good reason. She thought it was preventative. If she worried about us and it would keep us from getting in trouble. I don't know why she thought that, but I wish it would have been true that her worrying kept us out of trouble. Never did. But or she worried because she thought it was the same as caring.
Mm,
Oh, I love you. I care about you. Of course I worry. Like that it has to go along with loving somebody. If you don't, if you don't worry about them, it means you don't care. No, it doesn't.
yeah.
No, it doesn't. No, it's if you quit worrying, it doesn't mean you quit caring. But she taught me that. She taught me that that's what it was. Or it means it's just being responsible to
Mm,
worry about things.
hmm.
No, it's not. But she didn't know it was a totally innocent misuse of a perfectly good mind.
Hmm.
She didn't know that. And I didn't either until I did. And I'm telling you, when you give up worrying, you got a lot of free time.
Oh yeah.
It's there's time then for common sense and wisdom and you do your own keeping yourself out of trouble.
Hmm.
You don't concern yourself with trying to have the future promise that you're never going to have a hard time. There's no such thing as the future.
Yeah, I'd love if you speak to that a little bit more, talking about the future and the past and how that relates to our thinking.
Well, it's things that are once you see it, it's just so obvious.
Yeah.
Like it's kind of one of those you slap your forehead and go, why didn't I think of that? It's like the past. Our past doesn't exist. It's stored thought.
Hmm.
Just everything that ever happened to us is stored up here. Have you ever seen a picture of a human brain?
I have, yeah.
It looks like a cabbage. It's just, or a cauliflower. It looks more like a cauliflower. But my whole entire life is stored in that thing. And so it keeps repeating what's stored in there.
Hmm.
And some of it's true, some of it isn't. I have I'm 86 now. I have 86 years of information stored in that. You'd think it would get bigger, wouldn't you? You'd think by the time you're
Luckily,
86,
it doesn't, right?
yeah,
That
that'd
would
be
be
about this
interesting.
big.
Yeah.
But it's full of stories. It's full of information. Some of it's true, some of it isn't. It's full of some tragic stories that I can either leave stored or I can retell them in case they might be of use to someone,
Hmm.
or I can relive them. I don't usually relive tragic stories, but people can, and people do a lot when they don't know it's optional,
Hmm.
when they don't know that no memory has any power except what you give it,
Yeah.
that you can't feel horrible about something from the past unless you call it up and relive it.
Hmm.
It's it's a wonderful thing to know. But it's also know I think it's a perfect design that everything is stored because I mentioned that my first child died. I certainly didn't think at the time that, oh, this is going to be good. This is going to be a story I can tell people sometimes. But it has been very helpful when I have met clients or even friends that have a child that died.
Hmm.
And they know if I let them know, I get it.
Hmm.
That is the worst you're ever going to feel, ever. I get it. But you aren't always going to feel that way. Believe it or not, there's going to come a time when you have some moments that you don't think about it. And then there's going to be more times when you don't think about it. And then more times when you remember it in a different way than you did in the beginning.
Hmm.
But that memory is yours to use. It doesn't use you.
Right.
It can't hurt you without your permission.
Hmm. Yeah, I've known a few people, friends recently that have lost loved ones, including a friend that lost his son in a car accident, recently. And, I think sometimes there's this idea too that if you are to feel joy or feel any quote unquote positive emotions, that you then should feel guilty, like you're not supposed to feel those
Yeah.
feelings. I think that can sometimes show up for people as well.
No, that happens so that you can see this is temporary.
Hmm.
Don't be afraid to laugh.
Yeah.
I can't remember the question, but did it get answered?
I think we covered a lot in that, yes. Yeah. Thank you. And I would love to kind of segue, I guess, speaking of, children, but going into kind of a different direction. I'd love if you'd share something that you include in your book. And I first heard it from Michael Neal, actually, who you mentor, something that you've titled The Secret. If you would be willing to read that, I would love to share that with our audience and then talk a little bit about what led you, or if you want to talk about first, what led you to writing that, you can do that as well.
I got to go over there and get one of my books.
Okay, sure.
You'd think I'd have one right here, wouldn't you?
That's okay.
There it is.
Yes, but I love your book. I have it on Audible actually, so I've listened to it a few times already, and I can just feel like you were talking before with the families that could just feel, something about you different. I could feel the love coming through you when you were reading that. So it was really beautiful.
I thank you for that. I should probably it wasn't my idea to write a book. In
Mhm.
fact, it was my idea that other people can write books, not me. It's not my thing.
Mhm.
And Michael Neal and I have been buddies for quite some time, and he kept wanting me to write a book. And I said, Michael, you write books. You're a writer. I am not a writer. I just no. And he said he was about ready to give up on me. And one day he said, well, how about you write a bunch of letters about the secret, the poster? And I said, oh, I could write letters. Letters are short, but I don't have enough to say to fill a book, but letters I could. So that's how it came about. It's
Well, I love it. I love how it's set up in that way.
it's you want me to read this? Okay. I gotta find it. You'd think I'd be a little more familiar with my own book. Found it.
All right, perfect.
Okay. Dear kids and former kids, I have a secret to tell you. Nobody meant to keep it from you. It's just that it's been one of those things that's so obvious that people couldn't see it, like looking all over for the key that you have in your hand. The secret is that you are already a completely whole person. You are not damaged goods. You are not incomplete. You are not flawed. You're not unfinished. You do not need remodeling, fixing, polishing, or major rehabilitation. You already have within you everything you need to live a wonderful life. You have common sense, wisdom, genius, creativity, humor, and self-esteem. You are pure potential. You are missing nothing. The only thing that can keep you from enjoying all that you already are is a thought. One thought, your thought, not someone else's thought, your thought. Whatever thought you are thinking at the moment that feels more important to keep thinking than feeling grateful, alive, content, joyful, optimistic, loving, and at peace. That's the only thing that's between you and happiness. And guess who's in charge of your thinking? Guess who gets to decide where your attention goes? Guess who gets to write, produce, direct, and star in the moment you're in the middle of? You, just you, not your past, stored thought, not the future. Did you ever notice that it never ever shows up? Not your parents, they all think their own thoughts, or your friends, ditto, or school, or media, or situations, or circumstances, or anything else. Just you. Thinking is an awesome capability. Like any capability, it can be used either as a tool or as a weapon against ourselves and others. And just like with any other tool, we can tell whether we're using it for or against ourselves by how it feels. When we think against ourselves or others, we get in trouble. When we don't, we usually stay out of trouble. Feelings exist to warn us away from using our thinking to create trouble in our lives and to guide us back to our natural, healthy ability to live our lives to the fullest. So please remember that your thoughts are not always telling you the truth. When we're in low moods, feeling down, our thoughts are not to be trusted. Our IQ drops. When our thoughts pass and we lightened up, our thinking is once again creative and positive. Our IQ goes up. The only way you can feel badly about yourself and your life is if you think badly about them. It's up to you. Every single minute you're alive, it's always up to you. This is the best, most liberating secret I ever learned, and I want you to know it too. With love, Mavis.
Oh, beautiful. Thank you for sharing that. I think that pretty much sums it all up. And I guess you found your way in articulating that first thing you heard back at
Well,
years ago.
the way that came about, uh, I on the last day of my a 2-year project where I taught this to kids in prison, um, they were going to have a party for me.
Mhm.
And it wasn't in the prison. It was the kids that got out and had we kept having groups and um, as part of their parole. So they were going to have a party and they made this amazing cake. It looked like they had a fight over it. It was just funniest cake. Anyway, before I left, I thought I'm gonna miss these guys. I just loved every one of them, and I thought I'm gonna give them something. But I thought, should I buy them? Socks or something? No. So the day of the party, I sat down at my computer and I wrote him a letter. And I didn't write it from here. I just let it come through me. I know you all have had at some point in your life some experience like that where
Mhm.
something just came to you and it was just perfect and you wondered who did it because it was an unfamiliar state of mind that it was done in.
Mhm.
But that unfamiliar state of mind is actually who you really are. You're just not familiar with it. So that's where I wrote that letter from. And I made a bunch of copies and I gave them all a letter. And some months later, I don't know how, but one of the letters got to a guy in the big boys prison, Stillwater prison. And he worked in the art room there. And he wanted to know, he called me, he wanted to know if he could make a poster out of it.
Mhm.
I said, sure. So then I had a bunch of posters made, and whenever I saw a kid, I gave him a poster. And somewhere along the line, Michael got a hold of it, and that just ended up being in the book.
Nice. Yeah, I've loved that. He's shared it multiple times, and every time I hear it, I something else, kind of ignites in me when I hear it.
Uh,
So, yeah.
I I can take credit for loving these kids, and I can take credit for sitting down but I can't take personal credit for what came.
Mm.
That was bigger than me personally. But
Mhm.
we are all that.
Yeah.
That's who we are. I still don't think of myself as a writer, but then I don't think myself as a lot of things. It's just because
And it's cool that we
I'm
can know it's thought, right?
yeah, I'm not any of those labels.
Yeah,
We're all a bigger deal than that.
yeah, very cool. Um, So I know you had first talked about that there was the three gentlemen that had their PhDs and they were from up Florida, did you say? They were from Florida and they were sharing about Sid Banks' teachings. So did you get an opportunity to meet Sid Banks and did you kind of learn more through him on your
Well,
journey to figure out how to
yeah, I
articulate this?
went to I went to hear him a lot. He was sometimes he was in Hawaii and sometimes he was in Salt Spring Island, and I went to hear him a lot. And I had some, personal conversations with him. I'm not as close, I wasn't as close to him as a lot of his friends like George and Linda Pransky and
Mhm.
a lot of those, they were friends. And I remember, I mean, he used to come to Minnesota a lot, and we'd have a bunch of people come and listen to him. And one day we were out we took him to lunch, and I somebody must have told him I'd been working with kids. And I was sitting by him, and he said, "Tell me stories about the kids." Stories? Do I have stories? And some came to me
Mhm.
because he wanted to hear outcomes. He wanted to hear how when we pass this on, what happens, and I don't blame him.
Yeah.
I always like to see hear what happens too when people learn this. So I found out I had more stories than I thought I did, and had a nice chat with them. And but I must have told these stories in kind of a matter of fact way. Just yeah, yeah, and then the kids had this and this and this and whatever. And he reached over and he put his hand on my arm and he said, "Don't ever forget about the miracles, dearie." And I thought, oh, I have forgotten about him. I had been taking him for granted. That I went down to the prison every Sunday, spent all Sunday morning there talking to all these kids. I got used to it.
Mhm.
It was just, they just responded as I expected, and I got used to it. He didn't want me to get used to it.
Yeah.
And that was good advice. That was really good advice. And one time he was here, I and the people that were working with me, I wanted to take a bunch of the kids to go hear him. And that wasn't an easy, we couldn't get, that wasn't easy getting permission for doing that. I mean, these kids are in prison,
Yeah.
but I asked if I could just talk to some of the main staff and just tell them what I've been, because they didn't all knew what I was doing, and to tell them about what I was teaching these kids and about Sid and so forth. And so they let me take some kids, and we got a bus, and I don't remember how many I don't know, 15, 20 of them, I guess. And they said, you have to bring back the same number that you're taking, or you're going to be in big trouble. But so I took them, and it was at a college, and we were they were all in this big auditorium, and I was sitting in the middle of them, and I really thought I was going to have a hard time keeping track of them. I thought, oh, I don't know, what am I getting myself into here? But they couldn't take their eyes off him.
Hmm.
And at break, at um, I went down and asked Sid if if I could send some of the kids down to see him.
Mm.
He said, sure. So they all went, got up and roared down there. And he must have spent a half an hour with them.
Uh,
They'd ask questions and these, big, tough kids, street kids,
mhm.
they were treating him like he was God. And he was laughing with them and he was telling jokes and I'll never forget that. And there was a big where we were having lunch. It was a room that's all glass.
Mhm.
There's a whole bunch of just big yard, big grass yard up. And I brought a football because I didn't want them to get those kids to have nothing to do. I didn't know what would happen if they had nothing to do. So I went out in the grass and I said, come on, we're going to out and toss the football around. So we did, and pretty soon all kinds of guys that were men that had come to listen were out there, and they were all playing football with these kids.
Oh,
Not tackle or anything, just running around.
yeah.
And when we got back to the prison, when I came back, I didn't go back with them. The other people took them back. But when I showed up that following Sunday, they had two things that they got out of it. They loved talking to Sid. They call him that Sid dude. And but they couldn't believe all these people came out and played with them. I think that might have done more good for them than anything I've ever done.
Mm,
And I didn't do it. I didn't ask them to come out there.
mm,
They came out and they played with these kids like they were their own kids.
cool.
But it's the kind of thing that comes about in an atmosphere of non-judgment,
Mhm.
in an atmosphere of uh, just a person or two or three that knows there's nothing wrong with anybody. When you know that, and you just know it, it's not like I either believe it or I don't believe it. It's true. You can feel the truth of it.
Mhm.
You take that with you. You change the atmosphere wherever you go, and it's not even your purpose to do that. You don't even intend to do it.
Mhm.
It's powerful, and you're not trying to be powerful. You're just telling people, here's the deal. You ain't broken, and you'll never convince me you are. I don't care how many reports you bring from a doctor or, your mother or your father that thinks you're whatever you are. No, you've never done anything except the best you knew, considering what you thought was possible.
Mhm.
You're in this prison because you didn't know that. So there's just one diagnosis. You can throw the rest of them away. People either know how beautifully they're made or they don't.
Mhm. Yeah. I love how I've heard you say that we're all made of God stuff. And,
Yep.
you know, I think that's beautiful to
Everything
see.
is.
Hmm.
It's you think about creation, which is just divine science. It's
Hmm.
science. There's not a flaw in it. I mean, have you ever heard anybody say, you know, if I was God, I wouldn't make this and this. Or the creation is kind of a mess, it's just, have you ever heard anybody say that?
No, I think more so around circumstances, maybe that people think, something
But
shouldn't
not
go
creation,
right, not
not
creation.
creation. And I remember Carl Sagan, the astrophysicist who's not with us anymore, but he used to have a program on, I think it was Sunday nights on public television. And I loved watching him because he was so excited to tell us all about how everything's made. And he would show us how everything in creation is made of the same elements, the same ingredients, just in different configurations,
Mm.
so that I'm made of the same stuff as a giraffe or a toadstool or a tree a, or a star. He said, so we're all made of stardust. But it was true. It wasn't just a flowery, sweet kind of thing to say.
Yeah.
It's true. And when you think then of how we're made to create our own experience of life, that we're given the gift of being able to create images, thoughts, and then have sensations that let us know the quality of those thoughts, the quality of the experience we're creating at any moment.
Mhm.
I gotta trust a system that can pull that off. And it's the way we're all made. It's the way everything's made. It's a perfect system, all parts of it working in accord with all other parts.
Mhm.
And our suffering comes from not knowing that. It's not rocket science. It's smarter than rocket science.
It's pretty amazing to think about and just to think, myself being a nurse practitioner and I used to work in labor and delivery actually. So I got to see life brought into this world and being now a mother myself and seeing what our bodies can do to have life,
Uh,
brought in through our bodies is pretty
yeah.
fascinating. So yeah, very
Every
cool.
once in a while, because I've had four children, every once in a while it's occurred to me, God, couldn't you let men do this? But,
I used to jokingly say when I would see men in labor and delivery that we'd be extinct if men had to have babies.
one of the kids at the that I was working with once, it was a boy, I don't know, probably 14, 15-year-old boy. And he was so shy about this. He said, "Can I ask you something?" I said, "Sure." He said, "What's it like to have a baby?" It was so sweet.
Yeah.
You could you could kind of tell he just really had wanted to ask somebody that. So he was a big kid,
Uh-huh.
and I knew he played football. And so I said to him, "How do you feel about two-a-days in August?" It's just, day-long practices in the hot sun. He
Right.
says, "Oh God." I said, "That's what it's like to have a baby." He said, "Oh my God." Well, don't tell him it would be nice if he wouldn't want to do it. But I did say, isn't it interesting that it is so miserable, but you do it every August because you love football?
Yeah.
Well, we do it because there is nothing like being able to give birth to a baby.
Mhm.
That wasn't on your list of questions, was it?
No, but that was beautiful. Um, Yeah, I mean, we've covered so much. I could go on, I prior to us having this conversation, I had sent Mavis some possible things that I wanted to talk about. And she said, "Are you planning on a 24-hour conversation?" Something along those lines. Because of course I could continue to talk on a lot, but I do see that we're coming close to our hour, which I said I'd try to keep it around that for you. Um, but yeah, I think that we've covered so much. And one of the things that I like to ask anyone that I interview, one of the last questions is if for some reason this was the last talk that you were to have on this earth or this world, what would you want to share with this generation and future generations?
Probably what we just said.
Yeah. I was going to
That,
say, I think the secret kind of sums it all up.
yeah, that don't let anybody tell you you're not enough.
Mhm.
You were made enough. You were made with everything you need. And that's true whether you believe it or not. It doesn't become true because you believe it. It's true anyway.
Mhm.
See, if you don't believe that, you're going to have to think that God makes a lot of mistakes. No, no, he doesn't.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think for me, just really, you know, feeling like experiencing it for myself and seeing it for myself, it's not like an intellectual thing. It's, not a thing of the mind. It's actually like an uncovering, I feel like, experience of kind of uncovering it and seeing, oh, yeah, this is truth.
Yeah, you're made of truth.
Mhm. Well, thank you so much, Mavis. And if you want to show, do you have your book by you still? If you want to show
Mhm.
that real quick again so
It's
people can
this
see.
enormous volume.
Yes,
It's
love
like
it,
a
highly
little book.
recommend it. And I think on Audible it's fairly short too. It's only about an hour, I believe, on Audible maybe. Um, or it felt short anyways. It flew by when I listened to it because I was
Well,
just so engaged with it. I really enjoyed it. So
well, you can't be writing an 800-page book about how simple things are.
yeah, this is true. As the mind likes to make it complicated, but it really isn't.
No.
Yeah. All right, Mavis. Well, is there anything else you'd like to share before we end
Oh,
our conversation?
fun. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, thanks so much, Mavis. Appreciate you.
Welcome. Take good care.
You too. And maybe we'll get a chance to talk more again.
Okey doke.
All right. Bye-bye.
Bye bye.